Question says, how do they get picked for the board? Do you know blackmail? Cool. There's a thing called Greenmail too. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the guidelines for publicly traded companies and what they try to follow. Okay, some are called independent directors. Independent directors are someone that they have no association to the company at all. They're not a chairman, they're not a CEO, they're not a CFO, COO, none of that. They're just independent. And it means they have no ties to vendors, they have no ties to other board members, or they try not to, or they try not to be on the same boards in the past over the last 5 years, right? They have all these guidelines, and then they put them on the board of directors. But let's talk about Greenmail. I'm so sorry, Greenmail. And what happens in businesses, there's like an activist investor. It could be like somebody like Bill Ackman, it could be like Carl Icahn, or even Ryan Cohen. But they'll write letters to the board of directors, and they'll say, hey, listen, I think you guys should start doing this to make more money, to be more profitable, make changes in the company because you're going to fall behind. And if you don't listen, we're going to go ahead and we're going to buy more shares of this company, a bigger percentage of this company than we already own, and we're going to go ahead and put people on the board of directors. This is called a proxy battle. So they'll nominate potential people to be on the board of directors at the next upcoming shareholder meeting. And this is how you get put onto the board of directors. And so a lot of the times, like I've seen Macellum. Let's take Macellum, for example. Macellum, Jonathan Duskin. Jonathan Duskin writes these massive letters to companies. And I remember when he wrote a letter to Bed Bath & Beyond. And he writes a letter and he says, hey, listen, here's what we want to do. We want to go ahead and shake up the board. We're doing too many share buybacks. We're doing there's too much cash going out. Cash burn is there. Poor business model, i.e. going to more private label and not all these other brands, name brands. So they come up with this idea to put these people on the board of directors, and they nominate 14 people. Come back, Bed Bath & Beyond goes, okay, we'll take 4. So then they picked the 4 people, but the 4 people they picked were like kryptonite the minute they got into the board of directors. And the same thing happened. So as they went out and they bankrupt Bed Bath & Beyond, boom, now you went over to Kohl's. And Macellum is at Kohl's, just so that we're clear. They go into Kohl's, Macellum and Ancura, and those are the largest investors in the Kohl's. They own the most shares. And they go, hey, listen, we don't like the way this is going with Michelle Gass. We want to switch up the CEO. And they're like, well, wait a minute. What do you mean? Oh, we want to put more people on the board of directors. Okay, proxy battle. They go into the proxy each year, the annual shareholders meeting. They go in, they nominate, they get their people on the board of directors, and then they get Thomas Kingsbury. And you go, Thomas Kingsbury, CEO. Why would you ever want him, right? You're like, this guy's 70-something years old in retail. Why would you ever want him? Well, when Thomas Kingsbury gets onto the board of directors at Kohl's, first thing he does, he goes to the bank and he goes, I want a $1.5 billion bond. I want to borrow $1.5 billion. Kohl's has no money. Kohl's has $100 million. Kohl's has assets, like they're asset rich, but they have no money at all. And he says, yeah, and then I want to do a branding deal with Sephora, which came out of left field because Sephora is more catered to the younger crowd, makeup style, whatever it may be. Why would this old guy who's 70-something, he has no insight on this? And the deal is, if you know who he is, he's actually from like Riches and Bomarchi and Federated, the private equity stuff back in the 80s and 90s, right? So you realize who he is. He's the plant. He's part of it. And you go, well, wait a minute. He's on the board of directors at Big Lots as well. So you go to board of directors of Big Lots, and you say, who's at Big Lots? And you go, Macellum and Kerr, the 2 hedge funds that are actually doing these proxy battles. And they go to Big Lots, and they do the same thing. They tell Big Lots, hey, put our guy on the board of directors, put our guy at CEO, and Thomas Kingsbury's there. And sure enough, Big Lots goes bankrupt, gone, boom, he did his job. They come over here to Kohl's. They're now down and out. Kohl's cuts their dividend in half, 50%. So they're still cash strapped. They're almost at empty. And Kohl's is trading at 1/3 or 1/5, I think, of book value. They literally are trading for no book at all. What does that mean? That means all their assets are there. They're not liquid yet, but they're going to sell off their real estate and then lease it back. This is all private equity playbook, stretch out on your own debt. So that's how they get people on the board of directors. That's how they make bad decisions once they get in. Just to note, after bankrupting Big Lots, Thomas Kingsbury, and now destroying Kohl's from $50 a share all the way down to $5 a share at $15 today, they literally, Thomas Kingsbury retired. And then they brought in a new one named Ashley. What does he do? He gets brought up because he's doing insider deals with his girlfriend, and he gets fired. And they have an acting CEO right now, and they're on a search for one. Don't worry, they always find the right one, and they go bankrupt as well. So yeah, Kohl's is in trouble. Big Lots already went bankrupt. Bed Bath & Beyond went bankrupt. It's all the same thing, and it's all the same investors. Believe it or not, that's all Macellum and Ancura. Yeah, and even Legion Partners is somewhere in there. But if you follow the history of these guys, Jonathan Duskin, he's been involved with the largest bankruptcy in history at Global Crossing during the dot-com bubble. So yeah, I know what I'm looking at. I get it, and you should get it. Yeah, it's called Greenmail. That's what they do. Instead of blackmail and Greenmail, they send a letter to the board of directors and they force their way in. Just that's how it works. Peace.